Hey y'all, welcome back or welcome to the Easton Homestead. Today's video is a full tutorial on my sourdough sandwich bread recipe. So we're going to go over this recipe step by step. I'm going to make a loaf with you guys. This is a great sandwich bread. It's not crumbly at all. It tastes wonderful and makes excellent sandwiches. I've had a lot of questions about the consistency of the dough, meaning like it's a wetter dough, which we're going to go over that in a little bit, the hydration rates, but let's get started. So I'm just going to slice off a few pieces for you guys so you can see what it looks like on the inside. It's really good bread. I really enjoyed this recipe. My husband loves this recipe. My children love this recipe. It's just an all-around great sandwich bread. And there you have a nice piece of sandwich bread. So let's hop into it. We're going to start out with 150 grams of sourdough starter. I actually used discard for this recipe because my starter that I keep on the counter was, I just fed it. And I added 390 grams of water. You're probably thinking that's a lot, but I'll get into that in a minute. And 1 teaspoon of olive oil and 1 teaspoon of honey. And for the salt, I just eyeballed it this time. Normally I measure it out, but for the sake of the video, I just eyeballed it. So you're going to add all of these ingredients together and mix it up really well until everything is combined together. Now we're just going to add in our 500 grams of bread flour. And I would highly recommend using bread flour over all-purpose. It's got a higher gluten content. It's going to make that bread rise up better, and it will hold that water a lot better than in all-purpose flour would. So let's talk hydration rate for a minute. So this particular recipe is at 79% hydration rate, which seems like a lot. But the reason why I use so much water for this sandwich bread is it makes it nice and moist on the inside and not crumbly. Because a lot of people who don't like sourdough complain of it being more of a dry and dense bread. This makes it a nice, soft, fluffy, moist bread on the inside, great for sandwiches, and it doesn't crumble all over the place. So that's why I use so much water in this recipe. For my basic sourdough recipe, like my normal sourdough loaves, I use a 71% hydration. So it's been proofing for about 5 hours at this point, and it looks like it's ready to go. So I just put a little bit of olive oil on my hands because this is a very sticky dough, just to get it off of the bowl. And then I'm going to shape it. I highly recommend putting like a generous amount of olive oil on your hands so that it's a lot easier to shape. I probably should have put a little bit more on my hands because it is very sticky. So we're just going to shape it. I'm going to kind of try to shape it like I shape a petard. When you get into the higher hydration level loaves, it is harder to shape them. So that's why they do intimidate a lot of people. But for this particular recipe, I do use a higher hydration rate just to make it nice and soft. So it's going to go into the pan for about 30 minutes. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on the top of the loaf. And I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees. If you want, you can score your loaf so that it doesn't explode out the side. It doesn't really matter either way. It's totally up to you. I did not score mine because it is such a sticky and wet dough, but you're welcome to. Either way, it's not going to affect the outcome. So I baked this loaf for 45 minutes at 375. After about 35 minutes, I did take some butter and run it over the top so it gives it a nice crispy top. So here it is. Turned out a nice, beautiful sandwich loaf. It was fresh out of the oven, so I had to use oven mitts to show you guys because it was hot, but I hope you enjoyed the video.